Hey guys, welcome back to Billy Ray Garage. Today's video, we are disassembling the rear suspension on the Jeep, and we're going to knock that all out, get the axle stripped down, and get it ready to be Port 15, cleaned off obviously, prepped and all that fun stuff before we even put Port 15 on. And we are en route to taking the frame out from the body and doing the same exact thing with that. So that's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but that's okay. We're here for the struggle. Now, if you're new to this channel and the Jeep project, we did a lot already. Previous video, we got the front axle all taken apart and ripped out, so that is just chilling here, waiting to get Port 15. Remove the engine, that's chilling here, that's getting cleaned up and painted, and all new parts like new fan, new water pump, thermostat housing. And we also have the transmission here, which is going to get all cleaned up, probably painted, and we got the clutch sitting there. I don't know if I'm replacing it yet or not. At least the flywheel is getting replaced. And also, if you're very, very new to the channel started with the GTO. So if you want to see a GTO get completely torn apart and all new goodies put on it, not just the engine, suspension, wheels, tires, big ass brakes, go check out those videos. But anyway, back to the task at hand. We are taking the Jeep apart. So let me get some toolage and we will crawl underneath and start that process. Oh geez, I almost died. Alright guys, off camera I disconnected the fuel line, so it's currently draining. Took the wheels off, took the drum off, and now we're going to take the drum brakes apart because we want to get to this e-brake cable, which is buried in there somewhere. Let's see if I get some light. And it is like right there-ish. So yeah, you could also disconnect it up there, but that is entirely rust, so I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to disconnect it from down here, hopefully. If not, I'll have to go up there. So it will help if you have some of the tools to disassemble this. Like this tool here, to get the springs off up here, that comes in handy. So go to Harbor Freight, wherever, just get the tool, and you should be golden. So let's start disassembling this. Alright, here we go. So I know there's tons of videos on how to do drum brakes, but I'm documenting everything that goes on in this car, this Jeep, and yeah, so we're doing everything. So get this little tool in there. This comes in handy, slides underneath, pulls out, one spring off, and then you go over here, do the same exact thing. I should go the other way. There we go, and I should be able to get that off. Cool. Now these will come off. So got one spring. This one's a little more complicated, and it's got a little cable guide that goes to this little cable here. This is like a washer or something, I don't know what it's called, but that comes off too. And then this little cable, for some reason it likes to get stuck, so let's get you, there you go. Okay, so you're off, and this whole little thing comes off. Throw that to the side. Now I'm going to try and zoom in here. So these little springs right here, there's a pin that goes to the back side of the brake, and it comes through, and this thing just, you push the spring down and twist it, but this little thing likes to twist, so the little pin likes to twist. So I have these two to assist me in getting that out, so let me do that real quick. I'll try and zoom in when I go to edit this. So I grab the little pin with this guy, and then I push in with the pliers, and then spin that, and cool. So little spring comes out, as you can see, and this little pin goes out the back. And yeah, we got our little pin. So it's gonna be the same thing on this side. There's our other spring, here's our other pin, and there's a whole bunch of stuff holding this together, kinda. So you come out, our brake adjuster's down here, as you can tell. There's another spring holding that in, and then, okay, that's off. Okay, adjuster's off. Now this thing you could rock and twist, and this is part of the e-brake system, which I will give you a better view of in a second. Definitely not reusing any of this stuff again. I'm going to get all new and rebuild it. Oh yeah, there's one other thing. This little bar, the little spring, this goes between the two brake pads, I guess, so it creates spring pressure to separate them when you hit the brakes. No big deal. My bottle of coil just went down. Sorry for the wind, guys. Can't control the weather yet. One day. Anywho, let's get this little cable off. So that little cable goes through there. There's a little spring. It's kind of a pain in the dick. I grabbed the spring with a pair of pliers, pulled, and was able to rock this back. I'm going to try and do the same thing right now. So let's see if I can accomplish that. There we go. Alright, I was able to push the spring out and kind of get it like that. So now I should be able to just push it down and it's out. There's our little e-brake bracket. Yeah, this thing is a whore. So now you can see our e-brake cable coming in there. So I'm going to spray some coil on that right now, let it loosen up a bit, and then try and push those little tabs down and slide the cable out this way. So you just leave it in there. It'll hang on the body. Onto the apparent low-hanging fruit of the sway bars. Sway bar, I should say. Sway bar end links and sway bar. So we're gonna get that off, and then we're gonna move down the line. All right, guys, gonna be taking off these sway bar end links. I don't know if these are aftermarket bolts, but they are aftermarket end links, so could be. But the outside is an 18mm, the inside is 15. Knock that out, and then we'll move on to just getting the sway bar out of the way. Alright guys, gonna take these sway bar bushings off. I'm gonna start with the other side first since that'll leave me a free hand. So I'm gonna start over here. And hopefully nothing comes crashing down on me. There, 15mm. Alright, coolsies. Ow, I just put my elbow on a friggin' rock. Alright, got the last one. Now we can get rid of this guy. I believe this is a Steinjagger sway bar, but that should clean up nice, so I'm not going to replace that. Alright, next we're probably going to go to the rear shocks, because that is at a point where if you take it off, the axle isn't going to roll on me, because I do not have anything under the body for the back side, only the front side. So I'm going to take those shocks off. They're gonna hang just like the front ones, and then I'm gonna have to weld some nuts or something up top, because last time I just through bolted them because those things were screwed. Gotta do what we gotta do. So I'm gonna weld some nuts on there eventually once we get the frame off and before I pour 15 it. Alright, gonna get these shocks off. Now if you noticed, I got a little extension here for my shocks, because if you try and get the shock into there with this lift, your shock hits the spring perch, which is a no-no. So don't want that. So if you do, lift your Jeep, put these little extensions, but we're just going to take it off from right here and on the other side right here. Just get the shock dangling. I don't know if we'll be able to work it out, because like I said, I through bolted it. I may be able to get something up top here to hold that nut and maybe get this down, but we'll see. Probably not though. Maybe worth a shot. Anyway, let's get that off. Alright, the nut and bolt for this one are 19mm. That may or may not be true for all of these, but here we go. Okay, we got that. Cool, got it. Alright, we'll save these bolts. It actually looks like a me job. I don't think that's stock to this. Yeah, I had to do what I had to do. Because apparently I had to use the old bolt to go through here and hold that in. So probably just went with a grade 8 and just threw it in there. Let's go to the other side. Yeah, right, little pry bar. Here we go. There we go. Cool. Oh, that's got a lot of travel to it. It is a 6-inch lift. Alright, I'm going to try and disconnect it from the top. I'll do that off camera. Oh my god, I got friggin' burps. Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. It's Taylor ham, South Jersey fucks. Alright guys, gonna knock the top out, try and get this whole shock down, and dispose of it because we are not using those anymore. Yay. Alright guys, now is the point where I tell you that this is where things start to get sketchy. You only have a couple things holding up your axle, and I have 4 12-ton jack stands holding everything up in the air. And if all goes well, this will just be put up in the air a little bit, and then we'll disconnect the control arms from the frame, and then hopefully get the axle out of here, and we'll be able to like tip this thing, get the spring out, do the same thing on the other side, tip it, get the spring out. So, oh yeah, and also I gotta chop my e-brake up there. So I'm gonna do that first, get that out of the way while I have a jack under the axle and weight on these 12-ton jack stands. I'm gonna go under there and cut that. All right guys, I'm gonna start by disconnecting the lower control arms from the frame. Do both sides. The upper control arms, same thing from the frame, and we'll drag everything out. I still gotta get the track bar off, but these are 21mm, and I'll see you on the other side of this. Alright guys, upper control arm, for some reason this one is a 17mm, the back side is a 16, so here we go. There we go. Shitty angle. Alright, got that one. That was a me bolt. Okay, track bars, the only thing we got left. So let me knock you down, stick you there. You'll probably come down with a little encouragement. I'm gonna leave them for now. Darkness is setting in, so I'm just gonna disconnect the track bar and that one little brake line bolt that I have to get off, but it's getting too dark, so I'll do that in the morning, drag this out, and I'll strip it down in the morning, and then we'll finish this video off with that. All right guys, track bar. Pretty sure this is aftermarket, but this bolt is a 19mm, the backside is going to be an 18. So let's see if we can knock this out real quick before darkness completely settles in and ruins everything. And another thing is, I would not keep your leg underneath any part of the suspension because this thing is going to want to come down. Yeah, so that thing wanted to roll forward. That's okay. I was prepared for that, so I put a jack stand underneath the axle, or the pinion for the drive shaft, so that prevented it from falling forward. And also it did move back towards the driver's side, as you can tell. So stay clear. This thing may want to roll backwards actually. Get a little weight off here. Alright, this thing may or may not roll backwards. Okay, it didn't do anything. Yeah, so we're just going to keep that there. And then, like I said, I have a brake line. The braided brake line, it bolts up to there. I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm going to take care of all that tomorrow. And then we'll take this thing entirely apart and do our thing. So, I will see you in 2 seconds. Alright guys, next day. I'm going to try and get this axle out. I disconnected the brake line from the frame, so we should be free and clear. Let's try this. Okay, so it looks like the axle has to swing back to get the upper control arms out. So let's see if we can not do that. There's one. Now let me do the other side. And there's two. Okay, control arms are free. Now, what are we going to do about this spring? Looks like the other spring wants to come out. Cool. Yay. Cool, we got springs. Okay, we got more dollies to go underneath here to hopefully assist in getting out. Cool, we got it. Now we're gonna take all this shit off of here and we will move along. Oh my god. Alright guys, just like the front, tear down the back, mark these left, mark those right. Yeah, so we have a measurement for when we put it back together. So start with the uppers, then we'll get rid of the lowers. Alright, good as all. I have to cut that one. Okay guys, so the cam plate, cam washer, got spun around on there and now it's completely wedged, so I may have to chop that. Fun, fun, fun. That one's stuck too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cut this. Alright, let me get the cutter and start cutting. Alright guys, gonna remove these shock repositioners. There's a 15mm bolt in the back, 19's here. So here we go. Alright, got that little guy. And now the 19 mils. And now we'll stick these in a Ziploc bag. That'll be my reminder for this video to put your shit in a bag. Alright guys, upper control arms required violence, so I chopped. This one came off, that one I had to chop off. So anyway, let's move on. The track bar extension, and take that off. This is a T55. There's a little tab bolt nut here, and then there's a couple smaller ones we gotta take off, but this one's gotta get out of the way first. Hopefully I don't break this, because this is the only one I got. So here we go. Okay, it's a 1/2 inch and a 13. Alright guys, gonna take a quick break while the dickhead friggin' landscapers do their thing, and I'll catch up to you then. Alright guys, got a bunch of stuff done off camera because the weed whackers were weed whacking way too long. So I got those little bump stops taken off, 13mm. Of course they snapped. Cut the brake lines because the ends were so rusted. It's a stainless brake line, but the end isn't. So that is really, really dumb. So just ended up chopping it. Gonna get all new brake lines. Same thing over there. Got the little drum cylinder. Got that taken out. That was a little itty bitty 3/8 bolt. And right here, there's a little plate right here. Those are 10mm bolts. That holds the brake line to the axle on this side. And then I just chopped it there. I gotta take that little block off still. And I took out the rubber pads right there, boop boop, for the springs. So those are there. And I also removed the differential bolts because I'm going to drain this thing. So you get a really, really, really nice bath. That is going to be next. We're going to be taking that off and draining it. Alright guys, let's drain this diff and see if we could make some progress in this thing. But you're not going to go easy, are you? Yeah, we're getting places. There we go. Oh, the smell of gear oil is very lovely. Some 373s right there if I never saw them. Alright, let's hope that this thing does not fall. That would be terrible. Maybe get this thing underneath more. There we go. Oh yeah, lovely. I'll spray some brake clean in there. I'll clean off the gasket surface. Get a jack stand under the front of it so that it can drain a little longer. And we'll aid it a little bit by spraying a bunch of this shit in here. Why does brake clean last like 3 seconds? Alright guys, gonna remove the rear axle. You have 14 millimeter nuts. Yeah, take them off, and there's a backing plate that'll come off. This thing will come loose, and this will pull right out. Alright, so you get the point. You take all 4 of these off, and I'll catch up with you then. Alright guys, got all 4 of those little bolts taken out, so let's wiggle this little plate loose. Just be careful going in here. You have axle seals right here and a bearing, so don't beat it up too much. Yeah, maybe give it some light taps with a hammer, maybe that'll make it come out. There we go, it's starting to go. Alright, so the seal is in there. There we go. We got our brake line, we got our little backing plate, and all this will come right out. Cool. There's our axle, sort of over here. And last but not least, this is what we were trying to get to. May have to tap that off a little bit, but it should go. And there's our dopey little backing plate. I'll see if I get a new one of these. If not, gotta clean it up. No big deal. Alright guys, we're gonna be taking off this little breather block / brake block for the axle. This will be the last thing we take off. I have no clue what size it is because nothing fits. It's like a surprise friggin' measurement. 14's too big, 13's too small, ½ inch is too small, 9/16 too big. So I'm going to make it a 13. So here we go. Now it's a 13. I think it was a 13, just too much rust. So there's our little bolt guy. We're going to save it. I'm pretty sure it comes with a new one. And our line is free. Yay. So stick that there. Alright, that does it for this. Let's wrap up the video. Okay guys, that does it for the rear axle. It's completely stripped down. It is out. The Jeep is now hovering off the ground. And yeah, next video is going to be wire wheeling, degreasing, metal prepping, and pour 15ing. So hopefully we can knock out both front and rear axles. The only reason why I took the rear axle off, the pumpkin cover, was to clean it up and, you know, do that separately. The front I'm probably going to leave on. That's pretty easy, but, you know, I had to get the gear oil out to pull the axles for the rear. So yeah, so that'll be next video. So we got a lot done today. I am happy with the progress, and hopefully we get the frame off too. So that's going to be coming up soon, and hopefully overtime does not interfere with that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal, and I will see you guys in the next one.